Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Today I'm writing to What Does Hinduism Say About Detachment? So I thought this was pretty interesting because obviously, obviously, but do remember both Swamis talking about I know Swami Mananda for sure, talks about detachment. Basically, not getting, how do you explain detachment? Not getting emotionally involved in anything. I guess that's the right way to say. Is everything just emotional? It seems like to me is the real issue emotion. Hmm. That is a question there. Anyways, let's go ahead and see this video.
You see, attachments are not something that can be avoided. Haven't you noticed things have a habit of clinging on? When I'm eating the chocolate cake just now, I love chocolate cake and I like this kind of juicy chocolate cakes. And when I try and eat it, some of it sticks to my finger. This is the nature of reality.
Sorry, it said alien there. I'm like, this is CC is not on. This is someone typed that up.
Through association, we develop attachment. So that attachment comes because of association. Have you noticed? Suppose you mix with, this is a good question to ask for a youngster. If you, for example, mix in the wrong company, again, it's a good thing to put out on television. If you have the wrong company, mix with the wrong company, some of the attributes of that company will rub off on you, even though you say, oh, I am pristine and pure. Some of it will rub off on you. So if you, for example, you are dealing with mud, then some mud will stick on you, see? So attachment is the nature of reality. Things have a habit of linking up or clinging. That's the idea. I'm saying clinging. So if you attach yourself, so attachment is not something that is saying, oh, it's vilify. This is the nature of reality. Haven't you noticed if you walk in the mud, some mud will stick to your shoes? You can't. This is the nature of reality. So it's not only the physical level that you get this kind of clinging. At human level, we also develop this clinging. So how does it happen? You see, in our own, what happens, we are accustomed to say our own near and dear ones. Yeah, we love them because we are born with them, we see them day and night. And suddenly, if that loved one is taken away from us, we feel tremendous pangs of distress. Because the attachment that we have developed through constant association, the constant association creates certain attachment. And that we have to pay a price for when they are detached. Like a little dolly. Suppose you're a little girl and you got a little dolly. You attach to it. And then suddenly something happens and you lose your dolly when you're moving house, something. You feel distraught. You feel really distraught. Because what has happened is that attachment that has come through constant association is in a way going to you have to bear a price for that. So attachment is the nature of reality. So it's nothing extraordinary. It is simply the way this world is. Things kind of habit of clinging to each other or associating with each other and becoming fixated by this attachment. This is the nature of non-living things as well as human beings. It is inherent in the way this world is.
Hold on, we're gonna rewind that real quick.
You attach to it, and then suddenly something happens and you lose your dolly when you're moving house, something. You feel distraught. You feel really because what has happened is that attachment that has come through constant association is in a way going to you have to bear a price for that. So attachment is the nature of reality. So it's nothing extraordinary. It is simply the way this world is. Things kind of habit of clinging to each other or associating with each other and becoming fixated by this attachment. This is the nature of non-living things as well as human beings. It is inherent in the way this world is.
It said non-living things. I would not have expected that. That's the reason why I had to rewind that. Non-living things have attachments? How? Now, unless you're saying like mud sticking on, stone is an attachment, then okay, I guess. Dust is attached to practically everything. Dust being a very wide definition, of course. Dust inside the house tends to be skin cells. Dust outside tends to be sand and dirt and pollution, etc. But that's really weird. I probably wouldn't give the non-living things part, just because I would like to keep it more of a relationship base or emotional base attachment as opposed to, mud on shoes or mud on a rock kind of deal, because that could potentially lessen the impact of what is attachment and detachment in this world. It's kind of weird how he kind of repeated himself a little bit in the beginning part of this talk about mud on shoes, mud on whatever. But I guess he was really trying to give that example. But he's saying that in Hinduism it's just part of reality. It is inherent in the way this world is. I mean, yeah. I guess can our enlightened beings attached? I would say yes. Obviously, well, I'd say obviously again. The only reason I say this, maybe you might say no, is that even I believe if you believe Swami Vivekananda to be enlightened, he did and still in fact cry. Um, when I believe, again, I assume he has seen people suffer. I've heard of stories of him, again, with Swami Sarfarpiananda's channel, where he was still crying even in whenever he came over to America. Again, it's not crying just for crying's sake, but crying in terms of, I guess, people are still suffering. But him being enlightened, meaning that there's a detachment from their true self, your Atman, versus the ego and the body. So the body will suffer. That's no Advaitin Vedanta will say that that the body will never suffer. The body will suffer. The body is part of Maya. The mind, the ego, will suffer because that is also part of Maya. But your true self, that's what you have to understand, is that you do not suffer. That's where the detachment comes along, I believe, where when you understand who your true self is, that that you can separate, or hopefully you can understand that you do not suffer. And for me, the way I look at this is my personal belief in this, is that your true self does not suffer. But I do it by understanding. And what I mean by this is that what I mean by that is because you can look at things in life and suffer from it or not. So, for example, a word. Someone can say a word. It might be offensive to you, and you can choose to be mad at it or not. Or you can choose not to be mad at it and not suffer from it. Because that word may be offensive to you, but may not be offensive to someone else. Why would it not be offensive to someone else? Because it doesn't offend them. But you let it offend you. Kind of like how, like Sadhguru talks about how you have control over this body. You have control over, well, I guess it's a bit difficult to say you have control over this body because you can't help how you feel, but hopefully you can understand why it happens and choose not to let it affect you. So your body may feel a certain way, and then if you understand it enough, I think you can not let it make you suffer so much. I'm trying to think of an example of that. The only thing I can think of is just, I mean, obviously physical pain, is physical pain, but more of like emotional pain. Again, I think everything's tied to emotion now that I think about it. Attachment, detaching, suffering of life is emotional, just purely emotional. I think that's what I thought about. I thought about earlier here, but anyways. So if someone says something that's offensive to me, say it's super offensive, but if I think about it in such a way like this person doesn't know me, So he's just saying stuff to attempt to trigger me. So if I get triggered, he wins. And if I don't get triggered, he loses. There's a bit of an understanding there. And also at the same time, because he doesn't know me, all he's trying to do is offend me. So why would I give him the satisfaction of offending me? I just let it. I mean, he doesn't know me, so whatever he says doesn't mean very much. So another thing is that fact that because he doesn't know me, what he says doesn't mean very much to me, no matter what comes out of his mouth. Another way of looking at it as well is the fact that you choose not to suffer in this life. So maybe he does say the offensive things, but and maybe it's meaningful, but at the same time, you do not want to suffer. So hopefully, with that meaning of understanding of not wanting to suffer, you choose not to. That's a bit of a weird one, though. That's more of a, I believe, more of a logical. Well, all of them seems to be logical, actually, but more of a. It's a very logical way of looking at it. Choosing not to suffer from being offended, versus logical in the way that he doesn't know me. Why should I let him offend me? Um, why does he want to offend me? Well, why should I let him offend me? Because if I get offended, he would win. I give him the satisfaction kind of deal. Those are the two other logical ones that makes more logical sense. Where the third one about choosing not to be offended is a bit of, I guess, a higher tier logic, I guess. Anyways, I think I've spoken way too much about this. Hopefully, there's a bit of understanding towards the end there. So, anyways, more reactions to how does Hinduism say about detachment. If you like my content, please consider subscribing. Thumbs up the sound down below. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next vid.